we should talk for a long time or a little time. Like, I don't know.
It's therapeutic for me.
You know what? Where I'm living now in West Leaderville, I've got brick pavers front and back, so I have no lawn, and it's the first time I haven't had a lawn to mow, and I really miss it. I love mowing the lawn.
Smell of the grass in the morning, eh? And a coffee, of course.
Always the coffee in the morning, the coffee at midday, the coffee whenever. Oh, dear me. So, Leo, you've been 2014 was your first comp, I want to say. Wow. So you've been around
Yes, sir.
Kind of a long time now.
Yep.
You're
And I'm getting pretty old now.
How old are you?
Yeah, people start calling me Unk. This year I'm 30 years old. Yeah. Feels messed up saying 30, but
Damn.
I am 30, yeah.
Wow.
I know, man.
So I didn't realize that, so you were a junior when you started.
Yep. And they call me a veteran now. And it feels weird, but...
You're a veteran at 30. Do you know how old I was when I did my first comp? I was 30. I
would guess.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Ooh, you started a bit late then. Well, compared to, how early people start now.
That's one of the things that I figured we could talk about is these entry points into powerlifting kind of changed over the years. And so obviously when you came along, like we didn't have a lot of juniors entering the sport. And there was very, very kind of niche pathways for a junior entering powerlifting sort of back in those times. And most people, or it was normally an open lifters or a masters lifters kids or family members. And it was a bit more that way. You could see a very obvious connection coming in. And so most people, when they were coming into powerlifting, were more in my situation, that in the sort of mid-2000s, if you're a powerlifter, it's because you failed at the sport that you tried first. And then this was the next thing that you found afterwards. So that was me and a bunch of guys. We all wanted to be, in Australia, wanted to be rugby players. And you were a couple of Kiwis that were really good at rugby over there and played at a high level. And, like you look at Odell Manuel, he played in the NRL as a rugby league player and then came over and did super good. Heaps of my North American friends all played football or baseball before they came in. But you're coming in at, 18, 19. How did you find powerlifting?
So yeah, when I first started gymming, right, I think it was when I sort of like turned 17, never touched the bar ever. And I was just like basically screwing around, looking at what people do. It's like, oh yeah, that movement looks interesting. Let me try it out, And I was actually doing squat, bench, deadlift because, I see a lot of people doing it. And I was like,
Right.
You know what, let's give it a try. And yeah, I just love it, 1 weekend and then a month and then a year. And I didn't even know that that squat, bench, deadlift is powerlifting.
Yeah,
but then I sort of enjoy it. Yeah, seriously.
Like, 90s, like you squat because everyone else squats. And all of the big guys in the gym would go, if you want big legs, you got to do squats. I learned to squat for rugby. It was my rugby coach that taught me how to squat. And Adam Coe as well, funnily enough. But yeah, we just squatted. And then if you wanted a big chest, people go, well, you got to bench lots. And then you go, well, you have to deadlift. We're just told. I didn't ever get a reason why. They just said, well, if you're going to squat and bench, you have to deadlift. And I go, oh, that's what people do. And then you did all the other stuff around it.
See, the funny thing around is that back then I noticed, I reckon people train push-pull legs. I was like, nah, what are they doing, man? You're wasting time. You're paying money for membership already. You want to utilize what you've paid for. So I was like, I'm going to do everything in one go.
So you used to do full body.
Yeah, the next day.
Damn.
And 3 days in, I was like, yeah, this feels good, let's keep doing it. On the 4th day, yeah, that's when I regretted my decision. God. I was like, oh shit, what have I done?
I don't know. That sounds like to me the typical 17-year-old experience in a gym. It's like, what could go wrong?
That's right.
I'm invincible. I'll do everything. Those old guys over there doing one thing at a time, I get it all done. Do you remember where you were training when you did that?
That's 100% at Curtin
Aye,
Stadium Gym.
yeah, yeah.
Curtin Uni. Yeah, good old gym. Yeah, I love it, man. The place holds a lot of memory. But yeah, that's where I
Okay,
first started my
so
journey.
let's go back a couple of steps from that, getting in. And so, was that at the end of high school or the start of university that you started training down there?
Yep. So came to
Oh,
Australia
okay.
for college, and yeah. And I was like, what should I do on my free time? And then I saw the pamphlet. I was like, oh, Curtin Stadium, and you get a better price when you're a student. So I was just like, you know
Hmm.
what? Let's try this out. Trial for a week. Yeah. That's how I found Curtin Uni
Wow.
Stadium
And
Gym. Yeah.
tell me about high school then. Like, where did you go to high school? How was that different for us? And let's talk about some of those because I think this is way more interesting than talking
Yeah.
about bench press technique.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I grew up in Indonesia, Jakarta specifically, which is the capital. So I went to this international school, um, gymming, like, fitness in general. Like going to the gym is
Hmm.
not something so popular, but you still do sports, I
Right.
came from a soccer background. I swim, I play table tennis, like a bit of basketball, but didn't really like it. And yeah, I think doing anything that involves, like, physical um, activity, moving around, I just love it. Team sports especially. But then at the time, I wanted to join the soccer team, but then you need to do this rego, you need to do this and that. I was like, I can't be bothered, man. So I was just like,
Hmm.
yeah, let's just head to the gym. Back in high school, that is, I used to compete for the state level,
Right.
soccer as well, football, or whatever you call it here. But yeah, lots of activities here and there, which I really enjoy. And it's only natural for me to engage within the same
Yep.
activities when I'm here in Australia.
So what were most kids your age doing for sport? I expect soccer is going to be a big answer all the time. Like you ask anyone anywhere over the world, they've probably played soccer at some point in their life. Um,
Yeah,
mhm.
kicking rubbers or swimming. And yeah, there's actually a lot of people who dance as well,
Hmm.
like, just street style. I'm talking hip hop, break dance, popping, all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So you went from Jakarta to living in somewhere around Curtin Uni. Um, how
Yeah.
was that? How was that culturally different? What was that like for you?
Yeah, when I first came here, I was actually sort of like shocked, like culturally shocked. But it's a good, it's a
Mm.
positive thing though. Like everyone's just so friendly here. Whereas in Jakarta, like, I'm not saying the people are bad, but they just mind their own business. They keep to themselves. Like people are friendly over here in general, which is what I appreciate.
But
Yeah.
Jakarta's a massive city, though, isn't
Style
it? Like,
style of
there's
life,
yeah. Is that where you?
metropolitan. Yeah, traffic
Yeah.
jams everywhere. Yeah,
So then you come to sort
but
of Bentley area,
Perth.
and it's kind of all spacious and spread
Oh
out,
yeah.
and you know,
I was like, oh wow. I was just looking around. I was
yeah,
like, oh
right,
wow.
right.
Yeah.
And what were you studying?
So I studied
Hmm.
engineering. That's my background. And in uni, I studied petroleum engineering. Yeah.
Okay,
Finished 2018. Wow, that's a long time back. 7 years.
that's how you. That's how people know that they're old when you hear 2018. I go, oh, so that's like really recent, right? And then go, nah, man, that's 7 years ago. That's a long time. I go, oh crap. Yeah. So talk me through what did you do with the petroleum engineering degree, like the uni stuff, balancing. I guess balancing engineering because that's a really hard course, lots of work, with getting right into
Yep.
powerlifting, and you were pretty good at powerlifting early on, weren't you? Deep.
Well, sort of. But yeah, thank you for that. I'll tell you a funny story, but yeah. So basically, engineering this and that. People say, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be hard." You need to sort of like pass this test, that test. Well, I do think, like, if you're sort of like wanting to achieve something, everything is hard in the beginning. Until you actually break it down to, like, steps, multiple steps, doable steps. So I think it all boils down to actually understanding the timeline and time blocking, basically structuring how you're gonna approach things. So yeah, man, college, uni, is it hectic? Yeah, but it's definitely enjoyable. First year especially, you're just messing around, having fun, experiencing the
Hmm.
Australian culture. But yeah, I actually started gymming as like a form of
Hmm.
catharsis, just an escape, because yeah, studying can be stressful, whatnot, and there's just a lot of deadlines here and there. But as I venture towards like training in general, you feel good and you feel strong. You sort of like want to
Hmm.
keep improving, you know, whether it be you feeling good, whether it be, body composition looking better, or you simply want to load more plates on the bar. Like the whole process to me is sort of like fulfilling. So 3 months in, Nathan, I back then I was doing conventional because that's the only deadlift that I know.
Oh,
Until I went to the
you
dark
hadn't
side
learned how
like
to
a year
cheat
after.
properly. Yeah, you learn how to cheat properly,
Yeah,
and
man.
the world
Yeah, man.
opens up all of a sudden.
So yeah, the funny story is, I think 1 to 2 months in, like I don't know how I gained that much strength. I was deadlifting
Hmm.
100 kilo and I just struggled. And then I started, looking for programs because I was thinking, surely there's a better way to do things. Just like everything else, the
I'm glad
structure,
that
right?
you've realised that doing everything all on one day, several times a week, wasn't the way forward. I'm glad you figured that out early on, because, like, let's face it, other people started out at the same time as you, doing the same thing. They didn't come to the same conclusion as you. They kind of walked off, did something else, or whatever. But obviously, you made some really good decisions after that. So I'm glad you changed your routine.
Yes, sir. Um, Went to bodybuilding.com,
Ooh,
man.
okay.
Search for a
Ooh.
program.
Actually, that's probably a really good point, because what's that? 2013 we're talking about, right? Somewhere around there. Mm.
Yeah, 2013, 16, that's when it
So
gained traction. Like
yeah,
people
so
always refer to,
2013,
yeah,
in
that.
terms of where people
Oops, sorry.
found information about lifting, like you had bodybuilding.com. If you got a little bit more niche, you'd have elitefts.com. And outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of really reputable sources. Maybe T Nation every now and then, but even T Nation was by that stage. T
T
Nation by
Nation.
2013 was pretty crappy. It wasn't what it was. So you got to, so yeah, bodybuilding.com, because we didn't have anything else. That was your source, which is, yeah,
So I followed that religiously. And yeah, like 2 months in, I actually tried to deadlift 200 kilo.
right.
I failed. At the time, I didn't know what a chalk was. I was like, why the hell are these people using chalk in the gym? Like, what are you doing? You're making the gym dirty. Ironic that I'm saying that. You know how in Kearney Uni there's
Hmm.
like a lot of people in general, like CrossFitters, weightlifters, and just a normal
Hmm.
gym goer like me. So then there's this guy, he's a weightlifter, and he's asking me, "Why don't you have a chalk on your hand?" I was like, "Huh? What do you mean? Do I need a chalk?" I was like, it was like, "Yes, you do. You're
Hmm.
lifting 200 kilos, man." I was like, "Yeah, sure. You know what? Let me try that out." I actually did 200 kilo twice and I failed it. I think I tore a callus. But then when he when he gave me the chalk, I was like, I saw it bleeding, and I just covered that thing with chalk, and I deadlifted it for the third time, and I got it, and
Yeah,
it was
right.
fairly easy. And he was like, "What's your max, man?" And I was like,
That.
I don't know." And he actually asked me, "Are you a power lifter?" I was like, "What's
Yeah,
powerlifting?"
right. Okay. Which I think in 2013,
Yeah,
admittedly, that would be the answer from most people. Would be, what's a powerlifter? I think people, even now, like, most people don't really understand the difference between a powerlifter and a weightlifter, but more people do now than did 10 years ago, right? Yep.
yep, no, 100%. And yeah, ever since that, 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 4 months in, deadlifted 235, and from there on, got hooked. Joined a comp because my friend told me, "Hey, you're strong. You should actually compete." And I'm like, Shit, there's a
Okay.
competition. Let's do it.
What competition?
Yeah,
Barbarian
barbarian
strength.
strength, man.
And do you remember what month and year?
Might need to go open powerlifting, but probably since I started training 2015, I would assume it's
Barbarian.
2017. Most probably. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
maybe
Let me have a
15 or
look real
16.
quick.
Because I don't think we by 17. I'm not sure we're doing
Could
competitions
could be.
at
Yeah.
Barbarian anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hang on. Oh, sorry. Yep, I got it now. So 18th of March,
2017.
2017. Yep, back during the
Dude, so
PA days, Nathan.
do you
Yeah.
realize then your first competition was my last? Technically.
Oh
Sorry,
wow.
17 or
That
16?
what?
So 17.
17, 17. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so well
But pretty
actually in that
close.
case
Yeah.
then yeah, your first competition was after my last, and I think yeah, I might have been at that one doing something, but yeah, that was I had just finished up. Oh wow, I thought we overlapped and we didn't.
Yeah.
I just used to,
Now
I
that's
used
all
to
good
hear
though.
your name a lot from Alan Scarini for about 2 or 3 years about this
Yeah.
Indonesian
Oh,
kid who
Shirini, man.
deadlift could deadlift like a demon. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so Barbarian 2017. Do you remember what we lift back then?
Oof. I reckon I went 5 for 9. Missed my squat
Uh huh.
opener because my butt cramped. Got it on the second. It was super quick, and I actually stunned the crowd. And then I think that was 202.5 or maybe 207.
Mm-hmm.
And then I jumped to 220 on my third. And when I did that third, right, I can hear someone say it loudly, like, come on, cannot do too much jump on squat. And I actually grinded it
Right.
out.
Yeah,
I actually got a
nice.
video. I'll send it to you after this. Yeah.
You can do 50 kilo jumps on squat. Who cares? Do whatever you want. There's no rules. There's no
No.
rules to this game. There's just stuff that works more than other things.
Only bench. Don't know what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
Only hit my opener for bench. Back cram on my second because I was I actually water cut it for my first comp as well. Hey, I was weighing super light at 72
I'll
something. I
come
don't know
back.
what I was doing, man.
I'll
I
come
thought
back
it's
to
like
that
a
in a second.
must.
So deadlifting. Do you remember deadlifting? You 3 for
Two for
3 on
three.
deadlift. 2 for 3.
2 for 3. Yeah, I think I went 260 or maybe 250
Wow.
something. I said halfway,
Do you
and then I
remember what was
died.
your body
Yeah.
weight back then?
72.2
Right.
from memory.
Okay. Super light,
Super light. Yeah.
skinny kid with a well above average deadlift going. Whoa, where did he come from? Um, what I'm really interested in then is how you found out about water cutting in the first place, why you were doing a water cut, and what was the process that you went to go, all right, this is what I need to do to prepare for a powerlifting comp. How did you arrive at some of these conclusions?
See, my problem, right? I love carbs
Mm-hmm.
a bit too much back then, but not just any carbs, man. It's like I love my
Mm-hmm.
I love my Indomies, and as like a serving of Indomie packs a lot of fat, sodium, with the carbs as well. And I actually ate that like probably 2 days out and stuff, and I was like, so holy shit, I was like, I was weighing myself, and I was like, holy shit,
Right.
I'm 74.5. I think I'm gonna miss weight. So I think what I did was I fasted for the whole day, and I didn't even
Oh
drink
gosh.
for the whole day. I
No
was
wonder you were
dehydrated
cramping
as
on
hell.
your opening squat then.
I was
Oh
dehydrated
dear.
as hell, man. But then when I weighed in and I saw that 72.2, I'm like, yes, I made it. Only for myself to struggle for the opening squat. I was lucky I sort of like rehydrated and I ate before
Mm-hmm.
the weigh in. So after that missed squat attempt, I actually got it because like I was like, oh shit, I think I'm gonna flop my first meet. But it's your first time. You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
That's the
It's
fun
the not
part, though.
knowing. It's just making stuff up and hoping that it goes all right. It's like, oh, what did you do that for? I go, oh, I don't know. Seemed like a good idea. In that regard, your sort of generation, that transitional period that you've been in between the old and the new, you guys were much more like us with that regard. Is that we would go to comps, and the way we tended to learn was either somebody would take pity on us and walk over and stop us from being our own worst enemy and would guide us through the process. And I had a bunch of guys help me out. Um, I must have. I really think they just thought, this guy has no idea what he's doing. We need to help him before he kills someone. And so I learned a lot that way. To the point where I didn't even know that the Wilks formula existed until about my third or fourth year of powerlifting. Like I just go, like I was winning and people would give me awards. The first time I ever won a best lifter award, I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh, thanks, cool. I don't know how they calculated this, but thanks guys, that's great. I didn't know that there was a formula. And so finding information was kind of awkward. You had to learn the hard way more often than not. And I think it's kind of similar for you coming into the sport, wasn't it? Like the information sources weren't strong still.
Yeah, but that I think I learned a lot from trial and error. And yeah, I just happened to also find information from friends I made along the way, whether it be in Indonesia or Australia. I just talk programming to them. I was like, oh hey, how do you progress?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do. You're basically bouncing ideas, thinking of like concepts and things to do. And that's how you actually learn. You try new stuff, you experiment, you refine your approach. Yeah.
So let's talk about how many different programs we've both done then, and sort of like programming philosophies. Obviously, you started with the let's do everything all at once every week approach, and then gradually refined. Did you do any of the standard templates like I think heaps of people around like Shaco or
Shaco.
Smolov or was it that 5x5 used to be hugely popular, and then there was 531 and Westside and all those sort of stuff. Like, what iterations did you go through? Yep.
I did 5x5. That's my first ever probably a proper structure which I followed,
How long did you stick with
Works
that?
wonders.
I rave about 5x5 for beginners. I think it's brilliant.
It is. I think that brought my deadlift to 235. That was the thing that actually made me really strong. Good foundation develops your technique as well,
Yep.
makes you understand the lift better. And I think, 531,
yeah.
was it Wendler's? Yeah. Yeah, Wendler. And I think I did Bulgarian method.
Oh, like squat every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daily. Not the squat one, the bench one. Daily minimum bench.
Oh, told me I haven't heard of that one. Like that's kind of similar to how I trained for the last couple of years, and got my bench up 300 plus. But I've never seen that done for bench before. Can you describe it? Like,
Yeah. So basically, it's a program that's been adapted to weightlifters where they train twice in a day, right? And they probably train 4 to 5 times a week. But the thing is, they do basically sub-max work, single, and then the back off is going to be more speed oriented. I think the trick is basically load management and understanding the RPE, because daily minimum range from about around RP 8, 8.5. You're going to hit that, but you basically steadily try to build the daily minimum. But then I was like, yeah, nah, man, I'm going daily max every day. Didn't work out well. I PR'd, but it was it was an RP10 every session. So the essence of that is you basically train high frequency to just stimulate the nervous system, handle more weight, but at the same time, you get a lot of practice. And the only reason why it works for bench is is very sensitive with frequency, as in you just get more bang for the buck the more frequency you do it. That, of course, you can't forget the load management as well and how you structure the volume. Yeah. Man, when you're a junior, man, there's no such thing as load management.
That's true. That is true. I know a bunch of juniors that they saw Stephen Pritchard getting a bit of success with Shaco programming when he switched over to that, like long time ago. And so they looked at it, and instead of putting in, we would always tell people, put in your comp maxes and work off that. You know, don't project anything. Only put in a max that you've actually lifted recently, and do all your calculations off something pretty accurate. And this guy, what was his name? Damien Giles was his name. Um, Maybe I'll tag him in this and send it to him. I remember that he loaded up with theoretical maxes based on what his goals were, and then wondered why after 2.5 weeks he was beat to hell. That he had constant headaches, his joints hurt, everything hurt, and he's going, "What am I doing wrong?" And we're like, "Well, you put your max about 10 to 15 kilos above what it really is," and he just hurt. Yeah,
That's me too,
that seems
man.
to be what you do as a junior, right?
Yeah. You gotta aim for the stars, you know? How you get there, you somehow get there, you know?
If you survive, you're going to be good, right?
That's it. But the the number what takes the number one spot is, I'll tell you. You ever heard about German training volume? German volume
GVT, the
training,
10 by
GVT.
10. Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
dear.
sir. Believe it or not, believe it or not, I do that on compounds,
Really?
man. Front squats too.
Oh, gosh.
It's like
Oh,
volume makes me
dear.
strong, right? Let's just do as much volume as I can, you know?
I remember when I saw people doing. I've seen German volume training come through 3 times now. Like, it's been around for a really long time, and it was this Stephen Kolb or something or other was the original guy to come up with it, and it was just rubbish. It was nonsense that went into Flex magazine or Muscle and Fitness or something, something trashy like that pretended it knew what it was talking about in bodybuilding, and nobody really did it. Like, and people would try it from time to time and go, "Wow, that was a dumb idea. Never doing that again." And so it would disappear. And then I saw it come back. I think it must have been around sort of 2010 or 11 or something, back when Shaco was gaining traction with the way he was doing stuff. So people go, "Oh, volume, volume. Oh, I know about volume." And so German volume training came back again, killed a whole bunch of people, and then disappeared. And then you're saying it may come back again, sort of like 17, 18 around there, where people are going, "Oh, volume. Yeah, I know about volume. The Germans know volume. Let's do German volume training."
That helped me
Wow.
gain a lot of mass, like as in lean mass. But man, to this day, right? To this day, I'm still astonished of the fact that I'm not even injured. Like, I'm asking for an injury
Yeah.
doing a volume that high, you know? And I don't understand auto regulation, whatnot,
Uh huh.
until I went West Side and I modified it for myself. But yeah, no, it's just crazy when you're looking back because I still have the
Yep.
program on like my archive, right? I'm looking back and it's like, dude, what kind of drugs are you on? Why were you even thinking of
Oh,
doing that? You
do
know?
you ever
Yeah.
think that like those
Oh,
the peak years for a guy for growth hormone and testosterone, like released naturally within your body? That's that period that you. Do you ever feel like you wasted it doing stupid training? It's like going, I survived that because I had the
oh,
highest levels of growth hormone and testosterone and insulin you're ever going to have in your life as a 21 to 23-year old. And you're just wasting it on German volume training.
yeah. I mean, I should have,
Could have.
I could have, I would have done better if I know it. But I mean, for every sort of like fitness journey or powerlifting in general, you keep learning. And at the time, I was doing what I
Yeah.
thought was best. So the psychological buy-in is there. So I was like, you're
Hmm.
gonna make it work somehow. Not the best method, sure, but you'll find a way to sort of like make it work for you. Yeah, I think that's a big part of what has actually um, you know what's actually given me that much progress is that I believe that this would actually do
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, those belief effects are really powerful, aren't they? Like we've talked about this before. That uh, you can have the best program in the world, but if the athlete doesn't believe in it, they're probably not going to get very good results. Oh, there we go. He's back. Had a Thought I'd lost you there for a second. Never mind. Keep going. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we talk belief effects. Yeah. The I think you see that. I think you see that a lot in guys and girls that make it all the way to the top. Is that even on a bad program, they're not looking towards the external. They're looking internally, going, "Well, I'll make this work. It may be a crappy program. We'll trust the program. We'll assume the program's okay. So that means it's then up to me to make the program work, rather than the program makes me work. You get what I mean?
I agree, because I think if you sort of like follow a template and like, you expect everything to go 100% every time,
Mm.
it's unrealistic. And I learned that pretty quick, which is good on me, because like I realized that auto regulation is actually key to actually make things work for you. Because you can force adaptation to a certain degree, but then you'll just run to a wall and you can't keep pushing.
This is true. This is true. You can push for a long time, can't you?
You can, but then, I mean, human body, there should be a threshold, right?
Should be. It should be. Yeah. I,
Physically. Physically.
I was, I was going, yeah, maybe. Like conceivably there is, but then you look at let's look at what's going on in powerlifting now with guys deadlifting 500 kilos. You're like, I thought the limit was much. I thought the human limit was going to be lower than 500 personally. Like I watched Andy Bolton do 1,000 pounds for the first time, and now like people aren't that impressed if someone pulls 1,000 pounds. They're like, oh no, guys do 500 now. So then you go, how much can we handle? Yeah, yeah.
What is the limit? Where is the ceiling? Yeah.
Let's apply that back to you then. Like you've been chasing these limits for a while. Then, how close to your limit do you think you are? And actually, let's apply a question on top of that question: is how has that changed over the last 10 years?
Yeah. I think when I was still in uni, yeah, if you actually think about it, I'm sort of like juggling,
Mm-hmm.
studies, of course, working part time, and like just simply, what are my life stresses? Like nothing. All I need to worry about is passing exams, right? Yeah, you pay the bills, whatnot, but other than that, like, what's your responsibility? Probably hit protein, sleep well, that's it. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but I mean, I think as you sort of like proceed in life,
Mm-hmm.
priorities start to change. You've got a full time relationship. You've got to sort of like think ahead. And I'm not saying this in a way that I'm making excuses, but I'm sort of like stating this
Yeah.
the way it is. Responsibility starts to build up as you sort of like progress in life. You've got other things to quote unquote worry about. And like I start work really early in the morning, and I've been sleeping well, of course. Like I try my best to get 7 to 8 hours, but it simply it gets challenging simply because like your
Mm-hmm.
training demands more from you the more advanced you are. So I think my recovery is definitely not as good as what it was before, but then making excuses won't make me progress. It's adjusting and actually identifying what's
Mm-hmm.
actually lacking would make me progress. So I think the big part of that change is actually me trying to sort of like juggle more things, but still try to actually simply figuring out what works, what not. Yeah, and the more experienced you are as well, the better your approach will be. Like you just understand your body more, when to pull back, when to push. And I reckon it's more so capitalizing on that small wins. It's like stacking the chips, right? Until an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
presents itself and you can go all in. That's
So
how I think
if
about it.
you could push all in, what do you think your list would get to? Like how what do you think your top numbers are?
770. If I would to, hypothetically have a,
Yeah.
like the perfect prep, right? I do think I can push to
Yep.
280, 285 squat. Bench is somewhere around 167, 172. And deadlift, I think it would be somewhere around
Okay.
310,
Where
320
where
range.
is it now?
That is so. Best ever total. Hey, 280, 165,
Okay, so
and
you think you're
308.
really close to your limit nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Because you know, finding time to eat is hard for me. Like as dumb as that sounds, because you need to eat, but I used to have the liberty to still meal prep and just enjoy it for lunch. But nowadays, like if I'm really busy, all I can do is bring 4 servings of
Hmm.
whey and just drink it. So I still have protein at least. I mean, carbing up, sure, I still do it, of course, before I train. But I mean, I know I'm time poor at the time being, but you know,
Okay.
I still try to make time because it's a process. It's like
Mm.
it's a struggle I choose, right? Like I still want to do powerlifting. So for me, I personally don't half-ass my approach. If I still want to do something, I would rather do it with everything that I have, all the focus and attention, rather than yeah, you know what, I'm doing it, but I'm not sort of like doing it. Then
Mm.
what's the point? Yeah.
Yep.
It's all about making
Yep.
time, Nathan. Yeah.
I think most powerlifters generally their best lifts are in the early 30s. There's massive outliers like Jennifer Thompson that seems to think it's reasonable to be doing this in your 50s, and and David Ricks and Tony Harris and guys like that, of course. But they are outliers. The majority of people sort of 30 to 35 is their top. In this next 5 years, how close do you think you can go to being either podium at Worlds, world champion? You're the number currently on dots. You're the number one Australian. So how long can you be the number one for?
Considering the fact that I still plan to live for you know, uh, wild assumption, probably,
Hmm.
5 to 10 more years, because I simply love doing what I do, whether it be training, coaching people. I do think I actually have a
Hmm.
shot to podium at Worlds, like
That
tidying
makes
up
me
all
happy
like
to hear you
the
say
messy
that, because like
strands.
that's where the older generation, that's how we see you. Like so the inevitability that that's something that you would probably do in your lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's all
Mm.
about trying, right? Trying and actually trying better the next time you have the opportunity to try it. And I think by far this worlds would be the worlds which I feel best physically, that is, but then there's a lot of X factors that, even if you worry about it, you have no control over it. Of course, you know me, when I train, I don't train substandard. I know my standard and I know what I need to be doing. Like it just happens that it wasn't enough on the day, they didn't like it. So complaining about that won't actually,
This is true.
change anything. So
Yeah.
just
Yep.
gotta be better, man. Just gotta be better.
So that makes me
Stronger,
happy to
better.
hear that
Yeah.
you're definitely going to be around for the next 5 years. Where does where do you see
I'll try.
powerlifting? 'Cause this is actually, I wish somebody had have asked me when I was at 30. Where do you see powerlifting fitting into the rest of your life? Because so far, like you've done this for over a third of your life now. Like this is a big part of your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Been almost a decade.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Holy.
So like
Wow.
in 10 years' time, when we're
Wow.
talking, when I'm super old, when everything's like completely white, not just grey and white, and you might look like you've aged a year. Probably you'll still look young and look good. So you turn in 40. Like, do you want to be powerlifting still at 40? Yeah.
Still,
Would
yeah.
is the
I
competitive
think
aspect then? Is
so.
that the driver, or like what would keep you in powerlifting for the next 10 years?
Right. How do I put this? I think back then when I was still a junior, I want to be pushing these numbers because I see other juniors and other opens in like the 74s, they're doing these crazy numbers that I can't even fathom. Like it's just something beyond my imagination. Like how do you even unrack that, Like I just find it cool. So I was just like, you know what? Those guys are cool. I want to be like them. I want to compete against them, got the records, whatnot. But then, there's just periods when you sort of like you understand your craft. You have dabbled long enough to the point where you already see the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Mm.
but you're still doing it. Like off season got me thinking. Like multiple off season got me thinking sometimes. Like you know why why am I doing this sport? Like number one is it takes a lot of time. It sucks
It
a lot
does.
of energy out of you. Like yeah, you
Mm.
actually commit
It
a lot
drains
of
a lot of
things,
cash from your bank
but
account as well.
but it doesn't guarantee you anything back. Yeah, I was like pausing and I was like, why am I doing this? You gotta be a special kind of stupid, Leo. Well, you guess what? Well, guess what? That's when I know it's love. And I do think that powerlifting has shaped me to be the person who I am today. And I think like without powerlifting, I would be a totally different person. Can't even imagine what I'll be. And the special part of it is the powerlifting sort of like found me. Well, maybe I found powerlifting, but I didn't know it was powerlifting until someone told me that. So I felt that powerlifting is a special thing that came to my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing and it's a privilege to still be doing what I'm doing. I've seen a lot of people come and go, like, it's disheartening. So I always tell myself every time I feel demotivated when I train, remember that you're doing this for yourself. No one forced you to do it, but every training day that you can actually do is a blessing. So don't waste any second thinking about like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
I love that. That's great. It really is. Like I think that's the how did Daniel Macri, when we spoke about it, he called it getting bitten by the iron snake. It's like it's the venom's in you. Like you don't. It's hard to tell when, but there's somewhere along the line that's like, oh no, that's you can't not do this now. There's something that just keeps on pulling you back in. And I don't think it is the competing either. I think there's something about just lifting and having that structure in your life that is in just inherently good and feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like when people actually ask me, like, non-gym goers, they're actually dumbfounded, like, bro, how do you even
Yeah,
spend two,
right.
3 hours in the gym? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it's relaxing. Like training for me is meditation. That's literally what it
Oh,
feels
let's talk
like.
about that a bit and that's definitely something where we overlap on a lot. Like I know I was at the gym for 2 hours this morning and I felt like I rushed it. Like I felt like I wasn't there long enough. I'm like, oh damn, okay. I did 2 hours, got a ton of work done, felt good, but then it felt like I wasn't there at all. Like it flew by, and I love that meditation approach as well. So how do you set it up as meditation for you?
Yeah. When I sort of like go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel relaxed, like I feel happy. And I was like feeling this sort of like I just feel elated. Like it doesn't matter what sort of like block I'm doing, whether it be, a high volume or seeing my program. I was like, oh shit, that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a top single. Like it's just that feeling of anticipating how I'm gonna do it and whatever the outcome might be, like, even if I'm going to feel like crap or, if I destroyed my session and stuff, and I was like, yes, I just I just feel I just feel this heightened sense of curiosity of simply finding out what I'm gonna
Yeah, okay.
do, how I'm gonna do on the day. And when I actually train, like I feel like I can sort of like dissociate from reality temporarily and just simply do what I want and just be sort of like fully immersed in lifting in general. Yeah. It's like, headphones in, isolate yourself. That's literally what I feel. Like it's like it's a hyperbolic time chamber. Like you enjoy what you do, you lift, and I don't even feel it like an hour, 2 hours. Oh shit.
What did you just call it? A hyperbolic time chamber.
Bolic time chamber. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z reference. Yeah.
Please explain. This is I missed out on Dragon Ball
All
Z
right.
is what the little kids were doing after I stopped watching TV. And I know everyone was way into it, and I hear these sayings all the time, but it sort of passes over my head again.
So, Dragon Ball basically the protagonist
Hmm.
is Goku.
He's got the
That
spiky
guy with
hair,
like
and
the hair.
I I thought
Hell yeah,
the first
man!
time I saw him, I thought it was one of the characters from Street Fighter Two. Yeah, right, okay.
Looks similar. But yeah, basically, a hyperbolic time chamber is like if you actually go there and you spend like 2 hours there, it's equivalent to 2 years
Oh,
in
right.
the Earth,
Hmm.
like on Earth. Yeah. So that's basically a more efficient way to actually train, and that's the reason why the main character trains there because you accumulate that much experience in like a short amount of time. Yeah, and then when you come back, when he actually comes back to reality, the Earth, he can actually beat this
Right, because
villain,
he's
no
just
worries
done two
whatsoever.
years
Yeah.
training in no time. Gotcha. All right.
Yep.
So for Gen X listening in, we'd probably talk about Christopher Nolan's movie Inception and how time moves in Inception universes. Okay, same thing. We found the same thing now. All right. You just did it with Japanese anime. Cool. No worries. I find the same thing. I remember missing a flight back to Karath one time because I'd gone into the muscle pit on a Saturday morning. And, it would have been me and Daniel Macri, probably Paul McManus was there, Henry Day would have been there. And back in those days, we used to clown around a lot. Well, maybe clown around, but investigate different ways of doing lots and lots of different movements. And so we figured if we could attach bands and chains, doing it one leg with a special bar, then and maybe juggling a kettlebell at the same time, then would make the ultimate exercise. So we used to do heaps of this stuff and just play around and make up new exercises. And so we were doing that one morning, and I think I ended up being there for 5 hours. And I didn't.
Five
We just
hours.
didn't notice because we would train a bit and then would make up a new exercise. We'd do some other stuff and would film it, and then we'd go back to doing the core of our training, and it just kind of dragged out a bit. And when I looked at my watch, I've gone, oh wow, my flight is landing in Karatha right now. So I like totally missed the flight. I end up getting back the next day. It was all right. That vortex, we always called it the vortex of the muscle pit, that you'd go in there and just lose time. Time didn't exist.
I think the beauty of that
Yeah,
is the enjoyment that's overlooked when you can fully immerse yourself in the things that you do. And that's the thing, though. Like, if you can explain how you feel to someone else, then what's the point of doing it? It's the thing that
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
doing things for
It's like
yourself. Yeah.
I could, if you've never eaten ice cream, I can describe ice cream to you. I can tell you what it tastes and it feels like, and it's cold and it's this and this. Or I could just go, hey,
Until you taste it for
eat
yourself,
the ice cream, and
try
then
this out.
you'll understand what ice cream is. That it's not just a description. What you described there, your gym experience is pretty much the six elements of a flow experience. So that
Well,
total focus. So when I hear you dissociate and you're totally zoned in, like the world doesn't matter. You're totally focused on what's most important. So full focus. Um, a deeply immersive experience. So that feedback and the action and awareness are all one thing. Time dilation. Um, it feels good. No, in flow we feel amazing. It's our best. It's our best state. It's our best physiology. We don't just feel awesome. Um, that kind of oneness, the what do you call it? Timelessness, lack of self. Like you're just existing and moving for a couple of hours, and it's not really caught up in all these other things that we normally get caught up in. But yeah, I think you're describing a flow experience of when you go to the gym.
yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's just crazy as well. And whenever I actually think about it, uh, competition, like when I sort of like compete, especially, like I feel like I'm
Hmm.
dissociated from my own self. Like I feel like I'm shit. I don't even feel me. I feel like I'm someone else. But then at the same time, I like that
Oh,
feeling.
that
I'm
paradox, right?
relaxed.
Like you're the most you, but you're something else. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel that. Like honestly, I feel that. Like, I don't know if other people experience the same thing, but I think that's the one thing that makes me love competing. Like where certain condition can make people feel anxious. Like it makes me feel relaxed for
yeah,
whatever reason. Yeah, that's genuinely what I
yeah.
feel and
That
experience.
anxiety
So
for
yeah,
me would turn into anticipation and excitement. So rather than I'd just be like, oh wow, this is going to be, and it was all like it was often fear based, especially with the weights I was getting up to in the bench by the end. Think about a training session or a competition, you're like, on oh, what? How much is going to be above my face? And I'm just going to balance it up here like this. Okay, cool. And it was like 300 plus weights, terrifying. And I loved it. It was exciting because you go, well, now I'm going to do what I've been made to do, and I can do this thing that not a lot of other people can do, and I want to be there as often as I can because I feel most alive. I feel most me when I'm doing this one thing that I'm totally invested in. Okay.
Nate, sorry, I'll be right back. Helsingborg, Sweden. Man, I was pacing back and forth, like in the plane every 10 minutes, and there was like what 16 hours flight, I reckon. Bangkok to Sweden, Bangkok to Denmark, sorry. And I was so cooked because I didn't have sleep, right? So en route from Denmark to Sweden, like there's like a train. I actually fell asleep and I didn't realize, and I was so lucky that the someone actually, what do you call the guy who's in charge of
The
the train?
conductor.
Not the coordinator, but something else. Yeah, the conductor. Yeah, like he woke me up because initially I asked him, like, I was literally Helsingborg, Helsingborg. He woke me up, and if I didn't wake up, I think I'll end up somewhere,
Oh,
probably up north,
oh
and
my
like that's
god.
like 2 hours away. I was like, holy shit, man! I got lucky, man.
so
Yeah,
so you
water
were water
loading,
loading on the
not fun.
plane.
Yeah,
How did you arrive at that being a good idea?
I don't know. I was just saying, oh yeah, it's just gonna be a
Oh
vacation trip,
wow.
and I'll just gonna lift.
Oh Jesus. So on that flight, how many times do you reckon you had to get up to go to the bathroom then?
Oh my god, can't even count it. Like definitely every 20 minutes. I was pacing back and forth. I was like, can I have water? Can I have water? Can I have water? I think whoever's in charge, like a stewardess or steward, like they're probably pissed off at me. It's like, what the
Oh
hell
man.
is this guy on about?
Were you getting were you getting funny looks from other people in the cabin as you keep on wandering past them all the time, going, "What is this guy doing back there?"
Someone appointed me to be in like the window seat, and I actually
Hmm.
asked nicely to be in the aisle. Yeah, but then when someone was, there's this time when the plane just goes dark and everyone goes to sleep, and then I'll be tiptoeing my way to the toilet. Now it's just so funny, and yeah, like I wouldn't even eat that much because I don't have that appetite,
Hmm.
especially when you have that much water in you. Yeah. Don't know what I was doing, man. Just winging it all
Oh
the way to
wow! So
Worlds.
was that your first world? Yep.
Yeah,
Self-coached,
self-coached.
everything solo. What year was that? 2019.
2019. Wait,
Yep.
yeah, before COVID.
Okay. So how big was the
Yep.
team back then?
I was the only
Hmm.
guy from WA. Yeah, and then we still have Ray Owen. Yes, Ray Owen is
Yeah.
still coaching, and that
Yeah.
was the APU days. some people from Sydney, around 3 to 4, I reckon. Yeah. Liz Napoli, Demi Poon, who else? Oh my god, that's been a while. Yeah. But the team is not as big as what it is now,
Yeah, the
though.
team this
So
year
yeah,
was almost a full team, wasn't it? How many on the team this year?
that's a lot. Like
Yep.
easily
So
10.
almost a
We
full
almost
team.
have,
Wow, that's
yeah,
great.
almost a full roster.
That is,
Yeah.
it's so much fun, so rewarding to see this now that Australia can put together a full roster of lifters, and we can fill out the weight classes. That everyone is at least competitive in their weight class. It's not like they're going on a holiday funded by powerlifting or something, and the powerlifting got in the way of the holiday. Um, like they're going to, they're powerlifters going to world championships, and they're legitimate. They're meant to be there. They deserve to be there. I think this is a benefit of having somewhat harsh qualifying totals now. That everyone going to worlds is legitimately good and a great representation of what Australian lifting looks like.
Yep. We need that, to be honest, because if you actually look at how other nations are progressing, like totals wise
Mm-hmm.
across all weight classes, we're not that far off, but the change is needed. Change is necessary for the better. Nine
Most
times
of
out
the
of
time,
10,
yeah.
it's for the better.
What do you think needs to change? How can we do this?
So yeah, I do think we're
Mm-hmm.
already heading to the right direction. With not, with how the teams are being directed, with how coaching is being done, with how structured we are before we actually execute the plan. We need that. Not that I'm saying that the previous federation isn't well structured or whatever. Nothing about that. But the first part would be the actual qualifying total, right? It's like, I mean, I get it. It's cool to actually be strong in your own nation. You win nationals. That's cool. Excellent work. But how do you fare in comparison to
Mm-hmm.
the other world? Like you gotta raise the standard. You gotta sort of be able to present the best package, and for you to actually be given that opportunity, you need to sort of qualify in a way that challenges you to be better, challenges you to improve your game. And I think raising the QT
Mm-hmm.
is one of those ways. Yeah, maybe it applies to most weight classes and certain age
So
category.
I think certainly for the open category, if we look at just that pointy end of the pyramid, like just the top, which is the open worlds team, I think the qualifying standards are brilliant. What do you think? Yeah.
I think it is. The Carpino standards, how things are being calculated, how you're basically trying to push
Mm-hmm.
the top five to be stronger, to have this neck to neck battle. That's where
Yeah.
the fun is in
Yep.
competition, right? That's what
Yep.
people want to see. And that is what makes, the top athletes even better. You just need to find that another gear to actually elevate your game. That's what we need in sport, And I think that's powerlifting in general. The essence
Yeah.
is to push your
Yeah.
limits,
We
right?
find new limits. Hopefully. Yeah. So how then do we get it to we want nationals to have if we work backwards from that goal of being in the contention as a top ranked team at worlds, in the teams trophy, work back, that means we have to have full teams. Then to get full teams we need all the weight classes to kind of fill out at nationals, then, don't we need 4 or 5 people that are genuinely in contention to be on that team. In your opinion, then, because you've seen a lot of growth, like you were here, like there's a lot of growth just before you come in, you've witnessed a lot of growth, there's a lot of growth now. How do we manage this growth so we can actually fill out all of those weight classes?
So I like to think of a way that if we sort of want to stand toe to toe with the rest of the world, we first need to analyze how people are totaling in a certain weight class. Like supposing in X
Mm-hmm.
weight class 74, try and see the top 10, top 20 total, like how high. does this athlete total, and then take the average based on the 20, the 10s, the 5s, and you compare that
Mm-hmm.
to your own nation, Australia, and then you do the same thing for national events. Take the top 5, top 10, top 20, and then you compare yourself like how Australia is doing versus the rest of the world, because like those are numbers, statistics. Those numbers don't lie, and from there you can sort of like benchmark on how we need to be doing things. And that's how QT is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to design to be, right? You have to, yeah, I get it, you have to be fair, but you have to be fair in a way that it's realistic. It's sort of like highlights what needs to be improved, because you have to compare yourself with
Yep.
like the standard, which is the world. And that in itself can then act as like a gauge, a barometer on how lifters in specific weight class
Mm-hmm.
should actually be doing. And like, sure, we don't have like a full team right now, but I do think that if we sort of like follow this trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
the sport is growing, it's becoming mainstream. And now, sub juniors, juniors are going to worlds. Back then, yeah, we have that, but it's probably not as common as what it was now.
Yeah, I think we have.
So
I
I
think we've
do
got to go back
think I
20
have
years
faith
before we 20 years
as
ago
going
we used
there.
to be able to send junior and sub junior teams to junior worlds, and I think there was a big gap in between where we didn't see them for a while. We really didn't. But you're right. I think probably that's something that and once again, because of the way we set up powerlifting in this country, we don't really have a club system. It's a weird sport in that it's a business for most people, and we're paying to go to gyms, and then we're paying. Some people are paying for coaches, and then there's other people providing coaching services. So it's a bit of a business as much as it's a sport. And do we have to kind of change the model that we're using in order to get that extra growth, to get more people into the sport, or do we, or is it what do you think needs to what do you think needs to happen to get more people coming in from different areas?
I think if we sort of like push powerlifting at the rate that we are, get like a approval from like the government, basically,
Mm-hmm.
us trying to be in the Olympics, trying to actually make powerlifting an Olympic sport
Do
will
you
actually be good.
do you think that's
That's when you
credible?
have
Do you think we'll
fundings.
ever make the Olympics?
I have faith, because like it was hard back then, sure, but hard doesn't mean that it's impossible. And I believe, IPF, everyone in general, every country is trying their
Mm.
best to actually push that to actually happen. And it's for the better, right? Like you can fund athletes to actually go to the world stage. You can help fund the grassroots. You can sort of like have this. You basically provide an avenue for
Mm.
people to showcase their talent. So now if fundings will be sorted, I think more people will actually come to the sport. You'll have more young guns actually don the green and the gold in like the world stage, which is
Yeah,
what
I guess it
we
is.
want,
Like
right?
how the sort of the pathway that you and I both chose was wanting to represent our country, go to world championships each year, do those kind of things, and so that's a very sort of very specific demographic. Um, do you think we have enough competitions available to get the participation rates high enough?
um, if we sort of like compare the number of the competitions being done in Australia right now versus back then, I mean, back then is relative, could be 2, 5, or 10 more years. I
So
think
how
we're
many?
actually doing good. Could there be
Mm,
more?
you see,
Possibly.
I would say to be able to is it realistic that everybody that wants to compete, do they actually get to compete at the moment in APA? And I'm not. This isn't sort of discredit or whatever. Are we because of our inability to hold enough competitions? Are we driving people to other federations? Do we need to invest more time maybe into repealing Article 14? Like what needs to shift in order to get participation rates to that level where we find all the people that actually want to go overseas to compete? Because not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah. Look, I think when it actually comes to people wanting to do things or not,
Mm,
of course, it's totally up to them. But first things first is we need to also observe what's appealing to the demographics. Appealing as in, like, if someone were to actually represent their country doing an
hmm
Olympic sport, this is hypothetical, like powerlifting, maybe an Olympic sport. Like, maybe they're doing it for the prestige, maybe they're doing it for the experience, maybe they have something else they want to pursue. But then, what APA is doing is basically
mm,
pushing the sport
yep,
to be better, evolving the
totally
sport, right? And whether people want to join or not, like, realistically speaking, we can't cater to everyone's needs and
true.
wants. But the best thing for any federation to actually do is to endeavor to be
hmm
better. Better than what? Better than what they were before. They keep refining. They keep
Yeah, so
trying their
I
best.
guess
Yeah.
the point that I'm trying to bring out here is that in order to be better at competitions, more competition is needed. Um, so if we had if we had more available,
I
because
agree.
at the moment, like the model of expecting a couple of meat promoters in each state to do the lion's share of the work and to invest their time, and they've already invested a lot of money into to opening gyms, and we're kind of reliant on a couple of gym owners running comps all the time. Do you think there's a way that we can sort of spread it out to so then, because I would love to see more comps, like every other month maybe here locally, just so people have lots of opportunities to compete. And to have that, like, we need more than just one gym doing the work. I'm glad that we have one gym that does so much work. Like, we're definite, I want to make sure that I'm super in favor of that. But I think there needs to be just more people doing the competition side of things, like as in hosting and running.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to that, I do think that could there be more? Yes, but I do think, like, even if there's more, that doesn't necessarily means that it's going to actually be good, because, like, I think when it comes to competition timeline, whether it be locals, whether it be nationals, like, it's been structured in a way that it sort of like complements their long-term training progress. Because, like, sure, you can have, like, a month-to-month back-to-back meet in like 1 year. And, like, I do think that 3 to 4 comps, depending on like the amount of lifters in the state, is already more than enough, unless we're talking about a state with like a higher density, like more competitors, more members, then
Yeah.
you need more comps. But I think the amount of comps that needs to be done in a specific state is highly dependent on the amount of lifters within that state.
So you say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, but I
So
agree, there
three
should
or
be
four
more
local
comps.
comps, and then if you then start wanting to go, well, then we want to hold at least one national level of comp a year, and then
More comps.
start trying to get international comps. So then you start going, wow, there's really room on the calendar for a lot, especially if we look at the different levels. That you know, are we able to cater for the people that only want to lift locally, do we send them off to a different federation? Um, and then we've got a big group of lifters, like the Masters lifters, it seems. They love going to regional championships, like Oceanias and Asian championships and all that, and Masters Worlds. And I know that there's a really, like, very, very strong community internationally and nationally that go, well, that's where they want to go. And then there's this other pathway that you and I both really like, where you go to the World Championships and you go, Asian champions, Oceania, whatever, don't really care about that. I want to go to where the best of the best are, and I want to compete against the best in the world. Um, so that whole idea that, being able to diversify and cater for different stuff, I think it's a really tricky balance we find ourselves in now, where I don't think we want to get stuck in this role of we're only about world championships and Olympics.
Yeah, catering to the grassroots as well. I do think, like, again, this is assuming the best case scenario. You get a funding for the federation, whatnot, and this is me trying to, like, tell you, if there will be fundings in the near future. 100%, it's going to solve a lot of like logistics issues, like events issues. So because now you have a capital, it becomes much easier for you to actually bid for maybe like an event to happen, a specific location with more space, with better facility, and that in return, Nathan will actually invite more people to
Yeah.
actually join us. Yeah, that's how I think. Of course, it's it's easily simplified and easier said than done,
And it just
but
gets
that's just how I
complicated
think.
year
Yeah,
after year, doesn't it? With the constant emergence of new federations, and do we? How much do we stay in our own lane? Do we need to worry about people moving between federations? Personally, I don't think we need to worry about that at all. But everyone playing is going to be better, and that we focus on this rising tide idea. That if we get just more people powerlifting in general, then everybody kind of filters to where they feel best, and goes and I guess lifts with their community, with the people that they identify strongly with. So
yeah.
I'll open it up. You can say no comment. No comment's always a good answer. Um, where do you stand with Article 14? Do you have a personal view on it? And is that personal view a public view as well?
With Article 14, like how I sort of like think about it, I do believe it's all about member protection policy. They want to retain the member, and at the same time, again, uh, it is subjective, but there will be subjective notion to it, like 'cause simply how people interpret things is different, So the only thing that I would like to comment is it's all about member protection.
Mm.
Yeah, they want to retain the member. They want them to stay in like a WADA drug tested competition, and that's the rules, unfortunately. And that's all I'm going to
Yeah,
comment about. Yeah,
I think that's a very sensible answer. Yeah, because it is about member protection. You're right. So I just
it's a Pandora box. If you
oh,
start to
right.
interpret in
Yeah.
different ways, I respect other people's opinion. Some I agree, some I don't disagree, but I think that's just the world we live in, right? Like you've got freedom of speech. You
Mm.
can think however things you want, but I think some of the things just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, I know. Certainly, would I enjoy? I don't know. I don't even. I think I change my mind most days. Like this idea: could we all exist as one big happy family and just everyone live together, and people go between whatever federation they want? Just going, that'd be nice. That'd be really nice. Like, but then I figure if that was happening, we'd also be wearing flowers in our hair far more often, and I would skip most places, and life would be awesome, and la la la, and we'd all just get along. But unfortunately, I don't think that is ever going to happen, and I think possibly Article 14 is never going to be repealed, and we're just going to have to have this weird thing about powerlifting where we go, yeah, it's just the way it is, and this is what we deal with. Is there anybody in another federation though? I'm thinking in terms of for me, like I don't want to make it all about me. Yeah, I do. I like making it about me. I I would have loved to have lifted on the same platform with Sean Bostock, the other big bencher from Melbourne. Um, Sean had been in the sport for a long time before I came in. He was putting up these massive benches for years, and he was the guy that I chased in Australia. And even though he's a Kiwi, he's the best Australia's ever produced. He has a 365 bench in a double ply shirt and a 350 single ply. But obviously, he was in capo. Um, he was admittedly using PEDs, and the rules are slightly different. Take the Put the PEDs to one side. I don't care if people do or don't use. I would have loved to have been on the same platform on the same day under the same conditions and just see where we came. Like if we both had to keep our heads on the bench, or if I was allowed to take my head off the bench to be able to touch, like could I have beaten him? I just thought that would have been really, really interesting to find out. And we never got to find out. So I thought, you've been around 10 years now and you've been a big deadlifter for a long time. Is there anybody worldwide that you haven't been able to compete against who you think It would be fun to be on the same platform as that guy.
Shit, man. I don't know if you know this guy, Paul Nguyen. He is from USPA, an American lifter. Because back then, when I was still trying to learn how to conventional deadlift, he was actually friendly enough to simply share me the tips on what he does. Well, sure, he lifts with a deadlift bar, but still, 700 pounds is 700 pounds,
Yeah,
man.
the bar's not
However
doing
you
that
think
much
about
work,
it,
is
weight's
it?
still weight, right? You lift everything, but yeah, not gonna happen. But I think that's when you can sort of like compare yourself based on coefficient. Yeah, I mean, reality is, whether it's drug tested or non-drug tested, 24-hour weigh-in, 2-hour weigh-ins,
Yeah.
it's different, right? The statement
Yeah.
itself implies that it's different, but it's still powerlifting, but it
Yeah,
is different,
I
unfortunately.
think that head off the bench rule. I think that's the biggest advantage with equipped lifting in a bench shirt, because it's that last sort of inch and a half or 2 inches that's the hardest to try and bring the bar down and get it nestled on the shirt. Probably get a press call, and in a lot of the non-tested federations, you're allowed to lift your head up off the bench. So your head can come up, and it takes a little bit of tension out of the shirt, and it's easy to touch. And you throw your head back, and the bar kind of pops off the chest. And so I want to know, is that worth 10 kilos? Or is that worth 15 kilos? Or is that only worth 5 kilos on a lift? So then I find out, same shirt, same rules, same procedures. How much could I do? But I don't know. Never found out. And now I'm looking at these. Have you seen these band shirts that guys are lifting in? Like what do they call it? The F8.
Probably
It's
not.
sort of this new unlimited equipped division. I think it's what.
Oh, I think I saw it once in
Yeah,
Old Man Strength
Ray
Kuji.
Owen.
That's Ray Owen's page.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
Ray
holy shit,
that
man.
has kind of got me onto it. Uh
You
huh.
got, you got guys walking like
Right.
that.
I see what Ray does now in an F8, and it's so much more than what he did in an old single ply shirt. And Ray's been strong for a long time, and to see his numbers go up, and it's the shirt. It's from learning the shirt. I'm going,
This is crazy.
ooh, that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. Have you ever looked at equipped lifting and thought, maybe we give it a crack?
Ivan Kezik actually planted the idea to me. It's like, yeah, you should try, equip lifting. But at that time, the only thing that discouraged me is that, see, I train mostly by myself, and if I see equip, I was like, there's no way in hell. Number one, I can put that
Uh-huh.
suit on. Number two, wrap my knees, and number three, actually unracking, squatting, and re-racking that weight by myself. I'm like, I'm gonna die. That's the reason why I haven't done equip yet. But would it be fun?
See that
Hell
one?
yeah.
See,
Hell
I
yeah,
faced
man.
the same scenario when I got into powerlifting. I've gone, so I've got to wrap my own knees, get the suit on by myself, learn how to put a bed sheet on myself, do it all myself, and not kill myself. And I'm like, I looked at that equation and gone, yeah, give it a crack anyway. Let's do it. So I would go to comps, wrap my own knees, get my straps up myself, just learn all these little tricks of finding things to hook your suit straps onto, and then sort of ducking and weaving and doing a little dance. But I think because you're such a good sumo deadlifter, I think there's maybe another 30 or 40 kilos waiting for you in a suit somewhere.
I'll lift 320 kilo raw first. Maybe then we'll try equipment.
Maybe
Just
if you
to,
pulled
muck around.
350 in a suit, you'd be able to pull 320 raw.
You're putting it the
How
other
does
way
that
around,
sound?
eh? You're planting the seed now, man.
See, this is what we do. We get you hooked. Like we give you a little taster, and then you feel the addiction, and
You're like,
you're like, oh,
intriguing.
oh. I don't know. Maybe.
But I've previously thought of doing it though, out of curiosity, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just curious.
I think the curiosity will get you eventually. I think there's probably enough masters that listen to this podcast pretty regularly going, yeah, once you get past 40, you're going to want a squat suit. If you've been doing it since you're 19 or 20, your joints are going to start hurting, and you're going to appreciate how good a single ply suit feels. Just to kind of ease you through the next 10 to 20 years of lifting. Maybe.
Equipped, eh?
Maybe.
Gonna be bruised, but
we'll see.
We'll see.
Oh man, I'm just looking at the time here. I should let you go. You probably got work to do, and finally we've got it.
How long has it been?
Hour and a half.
Well, what's the time?
We're about to 1 hour 20.
Oh
I'm just looking at the sun
okay.
outside because I've missed the sun this last week here in Perth. It's been miserable. So I'm thinking about I'm
mowing the lawn and I'm basking myself under the sun. I'm enjoying it.
Get out and mow the lawn.
I feel like I'm photosynthesizing.
Watch you grow a couple of inches in the next few days. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you chatting. I should say appreciate you as an individual, first of all. Just being around and what you do, the way you conduct yourself. I really appreciate what you do, man. So yeah, thanks for the chat, and let's do it again soon.
Likewise, sir. Now, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate this, and thank you for the invite. It actually reminded me why I started lifting, and I think that's an important part. You have to reconnect with yourself, and without this talk, I wouldn't even thought about it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really mean it. Thank you.
There we go. Good stuff.